We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool, frosty beer while we're doing it. Episode 88. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger, and with me as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
And we're welcoming a new guest into the Nerd Room, Mr.
Mac Repman.
Thanks for joining us, Mac. Bonus, people. Look at it that way. 88.1. Yeah. So I guess before that, should we wrap into my, you're going to like this, more puzzle games, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, my PlayStation 2, okay, my first game I ever played on PS2 was Midnight Club.
Midnight Club.
And ATV
Off-Road Fury.
Off-Road Fury. Those, which I think were launch titles, right? Weren't they? I want to say it was like that, and then there was one, Smuggler's Run.
Smuggler's Run. That's awesome.
That was a launch title, which these are all like, I remember them feeling like there were aspects of like GTA that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't culminated into one game yet, right?
Rockstar's consistent interest in like criminal activity in video games sort of like is the reason why they were able to like they make, Midnight Club, illegal street racing versus like smuggling drugs.
I don't think Midnight Club is the same people. They're not Rockstar.
It isn't?
I don't think they are. I want to say they're like, I don't want to say EA, but something like that.
Something similar.
But Smuggler's Run is totally Rockstar. It has that feel. And there's another one that was for PS2 that was all about like being in shopping centers and you'd go through and massacre people. Do you remember that game?
State of Emergency.
State of Emergency.
Yeah,
yes.
It was based on the Seattle riots, apparently.
Yes, right? Terrible. And that was, again was this
so
avenue
exaggerated.
of GTA, right?
Like, the people at Rockstar are great. They're actually really good people, but yeah, they like attention from games like that, or they went through a phase where they did.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, State of Emergency was it was a pretty good game.
Yes.
It was pretty entertaining.
Again, that was a good couch play because you could just play for top score.
Yeah.
Right? You'd play and then you would die and you'd pass it on and we'd all play for top score. Totally. Mm-hmm. But I think the one I cracked out on hardcore very first was ATV Off-Road Fury. That was my hard, because it was like a kart racer kind of.
It's a game that came with your PlayStation 2.
Yes. That's, I just did. I'm guilty of it. Yeah, right? And doing the classic, like on the little whoop section, you'd get down the rolling the stick so you could pop it just right and make it in like 2 instead of hitting them all. Yeah, no, I love that game.
Yeah.
But that's not my unicorn. For me, my unicorn, which is the opposite of Metal Gear Solids, where I think there's only one that stands out as the quintessential, and for me it is God of War.
God of War.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
I loved God of War. When that game came out, it set new standards for me. There was not a game I had played yet where like the cutscenes and the gameplay transitioned so well into each other, and I was so motivated to see what was going to happen with Kratos, and like I loved it. It was so gory. Like the things that would happen, and like the blatant boobs that were in your face, and like his menage a trois scene was just like I'm getting away with watching this, and like this is in a game. It was like, it was awesome. I had so many things about it.
Don't judge me.
Uh-oh.
I actually didn't play that game.
What?
Any God of War games until I had a PlayStation 3.
Oh, really? Did you play like the collection then?
No, I mean I played them on a PlayStation 2, but
okay,
I did
well,
not
then
play.
You're saved from shame.
I did not play them until after I had a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
That was my first time ever playing God of War.
I think a lot of people will tell you God of War 2, which did come out on PS2, and it came out later. They'll say that's better and whatever, but
improved controls, that was it.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything that captures the story. And spoiler alert, but when you get to the end of God of War and you just get to like settle into the throne and be the God of War, and like there's no more satisfying end of a game cutscene, I think, for me, than there was in that God of War game. So I put that game so high. Personally, for me, it just set standards for me. And after that, I had it changed my opinions about other games because I had played God of War that I had already decided I loved, right? And so it set new standards for me.
Mm-hmm. I played God of War, the first one, about 3/4 of the way through, and I thought there was a distinct like Castlevania-like feel about it because of the way his blades are on chains.
Yes,
that's brutal already.
That
like
really good description. I like it.
Yeah,
more like Castlevania 4 though.
More Castlevania 4. Yeah. What was I gonna say?
The Super Nintendo one.
The Super Nintendo. Oh, dude, Castlevania 4. Yeah, Castlevania 4 had a lot of that flexible whip control.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God of War kind of had that similar feeling. Not as loose as that, I don't think, but it was similar, I thought. I honestly think that if they made a game like a Metroidvania version of God of War, that would be really successful.
Yeah, well, and I just feel like it's a game that has been remade over and over and over, and it's the same game over and over. And maybe it's because I've already experienced the first one, and so I'm looking for that same rush, right? It's the heroin game. Like, you can't find that same thrill from the first time, not from personal experience, but hit me or laugh. None of them have been able to emulate what that first one did, for me personally anyway, in the same way that first one came across. It was so fresh, but so classic at the same time, like the Castlevania feel, and like it did all these things, just hack and slash at its core and doing it the best it could do with this solid story around it. So I give so much love for that first God of War, and I've played them all. I'm guilty of buying every single one and beating them all to the end, but I've never loved one as much as I loved that very first one. It broke the mold for me. What?
I don't think you have Ascension, do you?
Yes, I did. I traded it in. I have it.
Oh,
I
okay.
had it, and I played it, and I beat it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's great. The rest are fine, but they're the exact same thing as that first one did, but they're just emulating it, and it's not, for me, it wasn't as fresh, right? It's like,
Gotcha.
it's just not the same. I have a ton of honorable mentions for me. We talked about Tekken Tag. I love Tekken Tag.
Tekken Tag is good.
I think you cannot talk about PS2 without mentioning Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2
that was awesome.
is the quintessential Spider-Man game that set standards. It was the first time Spider-Man's web stuck to something.
Yes.
If there wasn't, they didn't stick to clouds or like zeppelins or bugs or whatever it was, or seagulls or whatever it was that was flying by.
Or
you
gas.
had to, right? Yeah. There wasn't the gas barrier. You couldn't fall to the ground. Like, that game changed Spider-Man games forever. And I think that every Spider-Man game after it is struggling to reach that same pinnacle. They just are. They're prettier, but the gameplay is not there.
Spider-Man 2 is a pretty good game. Like, they were kind of banking on the GTA hub overworld style.
Yeah.
And putting a superhero into that was all you really needed to make that much better.
Yeah.
I feel like. Like, I know Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, you can still find that game in, like, bargain bins and, like, pawn shops and stuff. Like, because people that are like, oh, Hulk, oh, whatever. But, like, games like that, when you put a superhero into that GTA aesthetic, you get to do so much more that you've always wanted to do that you couldn't do before. Granted, the only thing I don't like about Spider-Man 2 is having to retrieve lost balloons for kids.
Yes, that too. Yeah. And the fetch missions were a little bit that, but there's something to be
Yeah.
said about building up your swing and swinging around a corner, and then, like, instead of swinging the whole way, you run across that building and then leap off and shoot the web again to go. It's like, this is what I wanted. This is like my childhood in a game. This is so cool.
And that was
so
the
I have to
first-
give some big props.
That was the first Spider-Man game I played.
Spider-Man 2. It's the one you should start and stop with, at least up until now. I've played them all. It's like God of War for me. I've played all of them. I've beat all of them. None of them are as good as Spider-Man 2. That's why I'm so on the fence, but so amped about this new Spider-Man game coming out. So we'll see.
I do think that when Spider-Man 1 came out on PS1, that was a really interesting direction. PlayStation Official Magazine, they gave that like a 5 out of 5 because it was so good.
Yeah.
Like, for its time. So I think it deserves a little bit of credit.
Oh, yeah, no,
So,
totally.
yeah.
Well, and before that, they were all like, it was kind of more that 3D side-scroller 8-bit mentality with Spider-Man games, where it's like you'd play through a corridor. It was very linear. You couldn't explore. And the first Spider-Man broke that mold.
Yeah,
But I
it
feel
did.
like that PS2, the Spider-Man 2 nailed it. Like, they drove it home with that one. I feel like the first one was almost like a demo for what you finally got with that Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, nowadays for sure.
Yeah, right. So I will never get tired of it. As far as RPGs, we kind of touched on a little bit on the Kingdom Hearts, and I love that is what kind of started getting the ball rolling on that for me. But I would say one of my all-time favorite RPGs, I'm a big fan of anime, is Rogue Galaxy.
Rogue Galaxy?
Yeah. Rogue Galaxy is an anime made into RPG the best way possible. It's so amazing. I think
I've never dealt with either of these.
oh my god, if you love anime and you love those classic cliche characters, but you love all the crazy alchemy pots of like fighting the different parts and making a new weapon and making armor and leveling your
Totally
guy
love
up.
that.
I do like that a lot, actually.
And exploring a galaxy. You find it. You get a ship where you, of course, have your like navigator who's a robot, and like you befriend him and meet all these other people along the way to stop the devastation of the Rogue Galaxy is so good. I really put it up there as one of my favorite all-time ever RPGs. It might be considered JRPG. I'm not sure, but it rides that line at least. Right?
This is the first I've heard of it, and
So worth it.
There's
check it out. It's one of the ones you can get on your PlayStation 3 as a PS2 classic. It's one of the ones they released. When they released those first 5, I owned all of them but one. And Rogue Galaxy was one of them. I recommend it to everybody. Play it.
All right,
so good.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
It's very. Did you guys play Dragon Quest 8?
Yes.
Dragon Quest 8 and 7.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that Dragon Quest 7 was one I wanted to put on my honorable mentions for PS1 because it's. I mean, I don't want to throw back too far here, but like, it's the only game where you can fight God, as far as I believe.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a whole disc dedicated to a dungeon where you fight God.
Yeah, and that even goes to the day of multiple discs. I love it. Right? Yeah. That gives it credit. When you had a PS1 game that came with multiple discs, like that game was either so good it took more than one disc, or it was so full of crap filler stuff it didn't need it. Right? Like
Long.
Yeah.
Xenogears.
Yes.
Xenogears.
Yeah.
I've heard that about Xenogears. There's a lot of filler in that.
Well, okay. So what happened was the budget fell through on the studio pulled their budget. So rather than not release the game or shorten it for what they did, they decided to just go cutscenes for that. So it just came to this long animated scene where it's just them sitting in chairs talking the story through.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and that's
So-
it's like a disc, like half, like mostly that.
I would
It's
say
awful.
Xenosaga I think it deserves punishment for that. You know, like they did that a lot. There's an hour and a half at least of waiting in the beginning of that game.
I loved Xenosaga though.
yeah.
Anyway,
So the point is, check out
Yes.
Rogue Galaxy. It's really
Yeah,
good.
Rogue
I'm going to
Galaxy.
do that.
I am too.
The
Actually, I'm going to remind you later when I'm more sober about that.
If you like Dragon Quest 8,
Love Dragon
which is
Quest.
very anime, wouldn't you say super anime RPG, right? If
Yeah.
you like animes, you're going to love it. It's done by the Dragon Ball Z guy, right?
say
All the
it's-
characters,
yeah,
you're going to
Toriyama,
love it. But where Dragon Quest 8 has such a harsh transition from like world map to gameplay and that kind of thing, you lose that in Rogue Galaxy. It's just all anime through the whole thing. It's really, really good. Check it out.
Nice.
Again, of course, Metal Gear Solid 2. An offshoot that's kind of an obscure one, but I'm a huge fan of them, again, with mechs, is Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the Enders.
I own that.
It's really good.
First one is
Love
a
it.
little more kind of demo-ish feeling, and that second one brings in a lot of anime cutscenes, which I really loved about it. But it's a great package deal.
That was back when PlayStation 2 was still on eBay and only like rich people could afford PlayStation. Was when Zone of the Enders was out. And Zone of the Enders did feel like a demo. I agree with that.
Yeah,
completely.
the first one, right? Compared to that second one was so much
I've only played the
a little
first
more
one.
well-rounded, and it has really awesome anime cutscenes in it.
Oh,
Very
nice.
kind of Xenogears-ish, but
Okay.
even more of them, right? More emphasized. You don't wait 20 hours between each one, right? So I have to give a shout out to that. I have to give a shout out to Shadow of the Colossus. That game is
Oh, love Shadow
for
of the
me.
Colossus.
I mean, it almost borderlines on that demo kind of game feel, but that game owns what it is, and it's like simplicity at its finest. That game is so good. I love it so much. Another weird puzzle game that I have to throw out is Katamari. I'm the biggest Katamari fan in the world. That was a couch play. We used to just try to make the biggest weird Katamari ball we could and drink beers and take turns doing that until we rolled up stars and clouds. Like that game was so cool.
My friend was the king for Halloween last year.
Oh, nice. And I love, one of my other favorite things, I mentioned it before, is that you always end Katamari with the barf rainbow that sucks up everything. So anyways go, bah, and this rainbow would come out and bring everything back in and start over. It was awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah, Katamari, dude.
Yeah,
Right
Katamari's
on.
awesome. I love it.
Right there.
Yep, I put it up there, and one of my ones on display. I have to throw out Beautiful Joe. I love Beautiful Joe. It's such a throwback to the classic side
You introduced
scroller.
me to that last year. That was
It's
great.
so cheesy but awesome, right? And so last, I have more, but I'll just throw one more out there. I have to give some props to the PS2 because I'm such a diehard DBZ fan. I think that first original Budokai game
That was
is so amazing. It's your standard 2D fighter you wanted, but with every single cutscene from the animes that you anime that you cared about. You got to wait and do all those classic fights. It wasn't like weird time portals that Trunks was now involved with that you made goofy characters. It was like just true to what it was, and it was so good.
And no filler. No filler.
Yeah, it just
fights.
Yeah, it was so good.
No
and they were like
no
literally
episodes.
but they were like literally taken right from the anime and remapped with the game graphics, and you knew that scene was coming up. It's what you wanted to see, and you got to see it. It was so
Nice.
cool. That first one is one of my favorites. So
That's a good choice, I think.
I think
That was actually one of our first times ever actually playing games together. Was that?
yeah, that game is worth it, man. So I'll kind of leave it at that. Let's wrap our beer up because we're all out of beer.
Yeah, we are.
Right? We can at least say what we thought about it, and then we'll dive into PS3.
Yeah.
And I'll edit this all up and cut it up. It'll be fun.
Nice.
So I still have a little bit left. My initial impression is when you get this beer, drink it and drink it fast. This beer
I don't know
becomes
about really
alcohol.
fast, but yeah, definitely don't let it get to room temperature.
Yeah, mine is a little harsh. I keep getting like alcohol face as I drink it.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier. Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's
like, whoa.
yes, very much so.
Bit of a tough beer, yeah. But good. I do like it, actually.
I was actually it carries the profile of an IPA into 13%, but it still tastes like an IPA.
Yeah.
It's true to style, and I hate saying that a 13% IPA is true to style.
Yeah, right? Because it's not. But
know.
it's the oxymoron of IPAs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I still think that Belgian candy sugar gives them a leg up on that, for sure. Like,
Definitely.
will
Well,
give them the ability.
I think that's where you're getting that harsh alcohol bite from.
Yeah.
And stylistically, an Imperial IPA it's recommended to, like, use sugar to fill in some of that recipe.
Just to lighten the body up, I'm sure.
Yeah, or just to get to the alcohol, period.
Well, yeah.
And plus, like, that cidery quality that you were talking about isn't actually, like, considered a flaw in an Imperial IPA. Like, according to Brewing Classic Styles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of my favorite recipe books that I use when
Okay.
I do home brewing. And
Nice.
yeah, sugar is great.
I like to say that I homebrew, but I think I've only done one homebrew since we started doing this.
We'll do some more soon.
Definitely.
Nice. I like it. We got a
I-
Metal Gear
I'm-
3 date and a brew date.
Yeah, definitely. a brew day.
I'm
Best
seriously
friends.
thinking, though, that I'm going to be getting a Brew Magic system soon.
Oh, right on. Do it,
I
man.
seriously think I'm going to.
Well,
I have to mortgage a car off, but you know, whatever.
yeah. I don't know that I can say if you're on the fence about IPAs that I would recommend you go out and get this one to try it out with. I think this is more
No,
for
this
your...
is not an introductory beer.
No, not by any means. Especially if you're like, I don't know if I like alcohol. You're either going to love it or hate it after this beer, I'll tell you that. But it's working. I give it a lot of credit for that.
Yes, and you had more than I did.
Yep.
With
And
less on your stomach than
I know.
I did.
It's terrible. Right? Welcome to my life. But if you had to put a score on it, right? Thanks, buddy. If you have to put a score on it, which we always have to do, it's not always their favorite part, but
No.
you know, it helps point people in the right direction. I think for me, considering that it's 13% and what all is in there, I'm going to give this one. I really think I'm only going to give it like a 6.5.
Really?
I think to me it's borderlines on good. It's a little
Wow.
abrasive for me.
It's okay. The alcohol is harsh.
It is.
It is very harsh.
Yes.
Other than that, the flavor profiles really fall right on point, and it actually tastes good even warm. Like the flavor profile tastes good even warm. I was shocked by that. It is a big beer. I have alcohol breath on my mouth, and I haven't had a sip of this in.
I know. I want us all to have like a lighter and see if we can just like flame on. with it,
Probably
right?
could.
Yeah.
It's a big beer. I'm gonna have to knock it some, but I think I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
All right. So we're not that far off.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mac? Lay it on us.
think here.
This is the toughest part. It always is, really.
The alcohol doesn't really burn me as much as I thought it would. Like, even as it warmed up, it was still pretty tolerable.
Try burping.
Yeah, right.
I did a couple times. I saw you turning away. I did
You
the
still have
same
nose
thing,
hairs?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I still got a couple.
Yeah.
I still, go back to that. The malt profile in it is really good.
It is. It really is.
It's got a really the beer itself. The body is really thick, and there's that nice caramel flavor in there. It doesn't play like too far past
for 13%. For 13%, that is not a heavy mouthfeel.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I mean, I've had 7% beers that are crisper and still have a heavier mouthfeel.
Yeah, well, and I want to be really clear that for a 13% beer, this beer blew my mind. Right? It totally did. Like, I never thought that you would have a 13% beer that tasted as good as this did.
Yeah, that was actually pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the most, I've had about 14% in a stout. And that's a totally different ballgame to an IPA.
Yeah.
But to get 13% in an IPA is pretty awesome. When people do it right, and I believe Melvin can do it right, as we've witnessed today, it can be, I think it can be pretty transparent.
Well, I don't think there's any way to have a 13% beer without having some of that alcohol flavor. Right? That's unavoidable at that point.
Yeah.
You've accepted that fate by going for those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your final number? What do you think? For the people out there, to give them an idea.
I'm going to give it an 8, honestly.
An 8?
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, it's great.
Nice.
Because that's
An
our,
8
that's
is
our
great.
Scorecard right
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
I don't know that
definitely
it's
great.
I think this
All
is a perfect GTA Tuesday beer. We played GTA 5
GTA
on
Tuesday?
on Tuesdays.
Oh, what?
You PS4 GTA guy. We are going to change what do you call them? What is it? Handles?
Yeah.
We'll exchange handles.
Well, I mean, like, I have it on Steam. I don't know if I can, like, join you guys through
No,
the
you
cross
can't.
console.
Gotta be able to join us on
PC.
PlayStation. And unfortunately, that's like my one major diss against PlayStation is they're totally against the cross-console, cross-platform
Yeah.
play.
Lame.
Which makes sense. I mean, I totally get it. And it's yes, please. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Try
Yeah,
some.
go for it.
But again, I
Way to
say
be a bro.
what?
Way to be a bro.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Pour you some beer for you. Yeah. You can pay for dinner later. It's fine.
I'll grow master. That's fine.
Okay.
If you guys need more beer, you can always come to my place.
Awesome. We're going to be such good friends. I like it.
Oh, totally.
This is what it's all about, man. Making friends with nerds and getting nerdy. I love it. And drinking beer. So
Yeah,
we can
man.
relate on all that.
Exactly.
Solid. So now we're going to drink. We're not going to review it or anything, but we're just going to drink it. This is the Elliott India Pale Ale. It's from the same place. I want to give them a shout out again. Beer Store, Milwaukee. And so go check them out. If you're in Oregon, check them out. They're going to come up here. I think they're going to be on a show with us. And they give us one more, which is the Epic Brewing
I'm gonna try that one. The sour
Indie
India
Pale.
Pale.
Yep, sour IPA. So if we drink these, we can keep drinking it. We're not going to review them, like I said, but
Done.
they're all from them. They're recommended by the bottle shop owner. So I'm into it. And we're free, which,
Ooh, that is really good.
like a PSN
That is
game,
really good. Actually.
you know, makes it even better.
These
Ooh, I
are
like the smell of
these are
this.
totally our nerd plays.
Are they? What do you mean? Oh, yeah, they
Yeah,
totally are. They're
the-
nerd play beers. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
the free games.
They are.
Okay, that's a lot drier to me than.
I love this one. I really like this one a lot.
Ooh, I like this one better too.
I really like this beer a lot.
Well, and to be fair, these have been sitting on the floor behind me, probably not in under ideal conditions for the past hour.
No,
right?
they're
Oh,
warm.
they're fine.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about it.
whatever. Yeah, whatever. Get over it, people. You
it's,
divas.
If it was there for like a month, I would worry about it.
Yeah.
This
is coming from the guy-
at 53
Yeah,
degrees.
Oh my god.
I love it. PS3 is gonna get good, you guys.
All right.
So before we roll into PS3, because I don't know where this is gonna get cut, I want to bring everything full circle. Let's do our PS2 unicorns like we did with PS1. So PS1, PS2 unicorn,
PS2 Unicorn is Metal Gear Solid 3.
Metal Gear Solid 3. I love you for that, Jeremiah.
Armored Core 3, Silent Line.
All right, I still love you, but not because of that.
I know why.
And for me, I'm gonna go with God of War
Nice.
because for several reasons I stated previously. But now we're going to transition into PS3, and as always, I like to educate the people a little bit. So PlayStation 3 came out in 2006, went till 2015, sold 80 million consoles. And again, this number, don't send me hate emails. It's what I could find. There were over 1,500 games, yes. And the best-selling game was GTA 5 at 20 million copies. And I have to say, GTA has sold even more copies than that since being released on the PS4. They're up to like
And
close to 60 million copies.
I gotta say, in this half of the room alone, we're responsible for 6 purchases.
Yes, I've purchased that game on PS3 and on PS4, and then we recently rebought it digitally because we got $8 million in GTA money for like $30.
Yeah.
Right? And we got a digital copy. So now I don't even
Yes.
my disc version will just be bronzed and placed on the shelf somewhere.
Exactly.
Right? So we're huge fans of it.
We
We play
purchased
it.
that game 3 times each.
Yes, and we play it every single Tuesday. I play it ritually for the past over 2 years now because a really good friend of mine, Walter Beast, who's his PlayStation handle, Justin, I love him to death, but he can't play any other game other than GTA, so I'm so sick of it. But every time I start playing it, I love it all over again.
It's fun. It's fun every time. And I don't get to play, disclaimer, I don't get to play every Tuesday because I fight the internet monster.
Because you have the internet beast, yes.
Yes.
But it's amazing.
But every game that
He has the
it
internet
cooperates.
monster. It's the first thing every time we go to do our nerd play, which is a game we download and play for free every month. Mm-hmm. His first boss in the game is just downloading it. So it's now been deemed the internet monster. Stage 1 boss.
give him an example of your reaction to when you found out how long it actually took.
Oh yeah. So at my house, right, I have pretty amazing internet, right? Like I can download a 7 to 8 gig game in like, less than an hour, like 30 minutes or something.
It's good.
And so we're talking gigs. When you told me about the game your play was
300
megabytes, and it was hours.
It was 3.5 hours.
Oh my god, for megabytes, right?
No.
The internet monster is strong with him, right? It's terrible.
It is.
It's a 14 boss.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's a
it is
formidable
the boss from. Is it Final Fantasy VIII? Is that the one we decided? Is that right? Where he levels up as much as you level up?
Ultimecia, yes.
Yeah.
Ultimecia levels up as you level up. So level grinding is like a basis for all of your Final Fantasy games.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That is what I grew up doing, just putting the hours, grinding, and to the point where you can just be like, oh, done, smash, oh, done, smash,
9999.
Smash, exactly. It's like, oh, tink, I'm done. All right, game beat. No, Ultimecia levels up, and not only when she levels up on this like expanding platform. So it's like each level up is a percentage increase of the previous level up from that one.
So it's like late Elder Scrolls games, but meaner.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because they all level scale.
Yeah, it's yeah, and so like for somebody like me who goes into this game not realizing that she levels up to that point. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, she levels up fine. It's like most games where they level up. It's like, yeah, they level up 4 times, hit a cap, and they're done. No. So that game totally promotes running through it as quick as you can and beating her because that's when she's beatable.
Yeah. So that means we have the perfect name for his internet monster. It is Ultimecia.
It is Ultimecia.
Yes, that's who he fights on a daily basis.
Because I have to this day not beat Final Fantasy VIII.
Because of that.
Because I spent...
Because you guys are too strong. When does that ever happen?
I know. I spent hours upon hours upon hours leveling my characters up to the point I had everybody with W magic and flare maxed out, which is a super powerful spell. And
I know that flare is super powerful.
Yes, because you have lots of flare. Anyway,
It is funny,
But-
because like
but it's-
Flare's like a level 2 move in Final Fantasy 3.
it's W cast, it's double cast and W magic, so it's like you're casting it 4 times for every one time that you cast it, and you're hitting her with this, and you're doing 99999 damage every time. 4.5 hours of fighting her, and she finally beats me.
So brutal. So brutal.
That's awful. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes,
That warranted a curse word.
I cried.
It's my second one.
Yeah.
I cried, drank a beer, and went to bed.
Oh. Well, you
And
had
haven't
a
played the
pretty
game
well.
since.
Yeah. So, we're going to move on to our PS3.
Yes.
Right? Keep the ball rolling.
All right.
We'll just go in the same order. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. Mac is our guest here. Let's just start out, same kind of routine. What's the first game you played on your PS3?
The first game I played on my PS3, I had just finished painting houses, for a summer job. That's what I did for a while. And, I think it was 2009. Yeah, 2010. And I just decided, screw it. I'm going to go to the store and treat myself. So I went to GameStop. I know, like, probably a dozen better places I could have got it from, but I got it there. And I decided to pick up 3 games at one time, and I was so happy with that.
That's always a risky move.
It
because
is.
you shelf 2 of them, right?
And they did their job in the retail. They upsold me Super Street Fighter instead of regular Street Fighter.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I got Super Street Fighter, and then I got Metal Gear Solid 4, because, like, again, we'll mention that game. But that's not one of my unicorns, for sure. Like, or not the unicorn. But then I got this game that I've been seeing every once in a while on the internet for, like, the past, like, year or two. Is a game called 3D Dot Game Heroes.
Such a love for that game. I love that you meant that is such a diamond in the rough. It really is.
It really is. It's a gem. It's a gem. And that game, I fell in love with that game. The aesthetic and the sarcasm. Like, there isn't another game quite like that. I mean, you can have a game that has, like, the whole, like, Atari, like, 8-bit look to it. But then it's taking it to a whole new level by making the existing dimensions you can work with and turning them into that sort of 8-bit feel.
Yeah.
And also, your sword expands the whole length of the map.
I was going to say, it's like Zelda on steroids.
It is.
Like classic Zelda. The Zelda you love,
not the
right?
screen, the map.
Yeah, the map. Like, whatever...
yeah.
Well, like, not the... like, whatever's on the screen that fills up. In Zelda, if you were Link on the far left edge of the map and you just used your sword, you brandished your sword, it would just go, like, the next Link's worth of space, right?
Yeah.
Well, in this game, your whole sword fills up goes to the very far edge of the dungeon. Like, it's, and you can still, how Link, you could press the B button for your sword and then, turn, you can turn briefly to, like, hit something else and then it would go away really quickly. You can still do that with this giant sword that can fill the whole map.
So sweep the whole freaking screen.
Yeah, you'll see
so
all
cool,
the
man.
enemies explode into 1,000,000 pixels. It's so satisfying.
So I have to ask you about 3D Dot Heroes because it's a game that I never actually beat, or I wasn't able to get super hardcore into, but I so loved it, and I believe it totally is like a diamond in the rough, right? It's like a sleeper hit. It's kind of hard to find, and if you can find it, I say pick it up, score it. It's a great gem. But in the beginning, when you start the game, I think you get, is it 4 frames where you can totally build your own character with little blocks, and you build him in his 4 movements so that then they will play through the game and it'll be actually him moving.
Yeah.
I made my little like sprite guy with like a cape and everything, and it would flap in the wind as he moved, and I built that guy from every single little block, and it let me play him in the game.
Yeah, you start out with a 2D print of like them facing you, and then you can rotate the whole thing and edit every pixel in between wherever you want to create your own custom character. There are people who've done some pretty naughty looking characters, like got away with some pretty hilarious things, like, and there's people that make like sharks, so like you see a fin up until they attack, and then the shark will be out of the land and like projecting the sword at them, like the sword will come out of the shark's mouth. And people will make little superheroes and stuff, and it's just really cute. Like they'll just be running around and stuff.
That is such a weird game to get in your first 3. Like it is, right? Like that's such a random, obscure game to pick up with it.
Yeah,
but I love that it is, because for me that's such a like, I would never like throw that game out there as like, you own a PS3, you have to get this game. Mm-hmm. But if you've been a fan of video games since the beginning, this game is going to appeal to you in so many ways, and you'll appreciate the way it owns itself so much, right? And I love being able to create my own guy and everything. That's so awesome. I love that you brought that up. Yeah. Yeah,
and like to top it off, it also is really, it's funny. It pokes fun at all of the RPGs that have come out since then, like Final Fantasy. It'll make fun of Zelda. Obviously, that's the biggest one in the game, because you literally get a lot of the same items. They're just called different things. Like, I don't know. I think bomb's still just called a bomb, but like, I don't know. Some things are different. A lot of the interactions that we find annoying in traditional RPGs, they'll poke fun of too.
Yeah.
Like, the king will ask you to do this like really elaborate task, and then you get you get the option to ask him why he's asking that, and he'll be like, he'll literally say like, why? Because I'm the king. Anyway, and then he'll just like move on with the story.
Yeah.
It's because really sarcastic.
Because I'm that cliche character that always shows up at this point in the game. Right?
Yeah. Or like, fall down this dangerous well. There's probably something there. Like, they'll just say stuff like that. Like, it's like, it'll be like, just like every video game, there's probably just a couple of rubies there.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
Best
such a
2
good,
Rubies ever.
yeah. It's such a good random one to throw in there. I love that because I completely had forgotten about it, but totally.
My follow-ups are actually really.
Is that your unicorn?
That is my
3D?
unicorn.
I love it.
My unicorn is 3D Game Heroes, and following up with
So
that is
good.
Never played it.
Skate 2. I'm gonna say it. Skate
Really?
2. Yeah, I know it's an oddball, but
That is a weird oddball.
I had a really good time playing Skate 2, and that game is hilarious because of, for one, EA Games made it. They didn't complete all the development in it. I'm just going to say that.
Classic EA.
Yeah, it is classic EA. There were moments in that game where I would make a jump off of a building to do a really cool trick, and my character's head would get stuck in the bricks that were like just a hair above my head. Like my head didn't pass it; it got stuck in it, and the head would start rotating like spastic, like exorcism, like rotating. And I would just watch my character just like it's and the sounds overlapping too. Like everything is like getting really noisy because the game can't process what's going on. Skate 2 is a favorite of mine because of how many errors there can be in that game.
Yeah.
It was also I give props to it because it was one of the it was redesigning the way skateboarding games were being played. Like you had more full control using the analog stick of how the skateboard actually moved beneath your feet.
Oh, nice.
It was very literal about what you wanted to do, but it wasn't executed programming wise in the best possible way.
All
But
right.
It was always like a good idea.
it
That's
was
how I
a
felt
really
about
good
Skate. It's
idea.
like it's such a good idea, but they never it never quite finished development or something.
That's
right?
what I love about Skate 2. It
Yeah.
wasn't finished, and that's where you can exploit entertainment out of
Yeah,
it.
for sure. Yeah.
Skate 3, they knew why Skate 2 was funny and fun and ridiculous. So they acted like they intended to do that.
Yeah.
That's
That
where I
takes a
think-
little something away from it.
It does. That's why I choose Skate 2, because it's better than Skate 1, and it's better than Skate 3, because it's the perfect middle ground.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
The accidental gem.
yeah, definitely. It is an accidental gem. It's just a goofy sports game. Like,
Yeah.
hands down. Demon Souls. That would be my next one. I know.
I love that you went to the
Yeah.
oldest of them, right? I love that.
From Skate 2 to Demon Souls. Yeah, you heard me. Demon Souls is a fantastic game. It's difficult, and it was the budding Dark Souls or Demon Souls genre that we love today. Demon
And
Souls
it's where it originated from, and it was so much more. Like I think since Demon Souls, the rest they've been dumbed down to some degree. They just have. They've been made more broad spectrum, I guess. The Demon Soul. I loved how in Demon Souls, if you played it at night, there was a whole nother part of the game that you couldn't explore during the day.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was really cool, and I'd never actually seen that in a game that was so rigid as it was for Demon Souls.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it was really cool how diehard it was, but it was like it kind of went. It was kind of overlooked. I felt like Demon Souls was, and that's when Atlas had it because Atlas passed it up after that.
Did they?
I don't think Atlas is the same as Dark Souls. That's a different company that runs
Dark Souls is Havoc, if I'm not
I think
mistaken.
that's right. Yeah.
I would have said Dark Souls 2, to be completely honest, because I think Dark Souls was a better console game than it was a PC port. I know that Dark Souls it's on 360, PS3, and PC, but I feel like it really stuck with the PS3.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So moving on to the next one, I would say Deus Ex Human Revolution. That's another good one.
Love it. It's so good.
Good game.
Yeah.
Very
It totally. It's such. Again, I think that game appeals to so many. It appeals to so many different fans of different styles of games, and does it so well. You get your
I actually
RPG
played that
stuff.
one.
You played that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good. You get your first person. You get your kind of RPG stuff. You get your real kind of that cliche actiony stuff in it. And
You
like,
got a cover system.
yeah, the cover system's awesome. I was a big fan of it. Even the newer one that came out for the PS4. I'm a fan of that one. It's a guilty pleasure. I had to play it because I played the first one.
Yeah.
I have a little bit left to beat in it. It's kind of like Dark Souls in a way where it's one of those games I'm okay with putting it down for a while and then picking it up 6 months later and then I'll beat it, right? Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a huge fan of the DSX games. They're great.
That's all I got.
So I haven't played
Nice.
I haven't played the PS4 one. I just played the PS3 one.
Yeah, if you like the PS3 one, you're gonna like the PS4. It's almost the same game, but it's prettier, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jay, lay it on us.
Oh, well, I think you know where I'm going with this one.
I know. I think we have the same unicorn.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not, unless you change something up. But I know you.
No, well,
We both can't shut up about the game.
yeah, I know. So you all know, but I went on a major video game hiatus for several years.
Yeah.
Mostly because my PlayStation 2. If you didn't notice, I didn't have a lot for my PlayStation 2. Because I played PlayStation 1 games on my PlayStation 2. And I had I burned out 2 PlayStation 2s with my PlayStation 1 games. And my couple PlayStation 2 games. But like I said, I burned up 2 PlayStation 2s. They're both original big brick style ones. And I just kind of swore off video games for a long time. And it wasn't until you actually loaned me your PlayStation 3.
I lent him the whole system.
Yes.
Right? And if anybody out there plays video games, you know that's really saying something.
I think he was trying to score some points, some brownie points for future endeavors.
Yeah.
But
don't hit me in the face.
Yeah, exactly. But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But you loaned me Uncharted and your PlayStation 3, and I totally beat Uncharted on your PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And so that's got to be my unicorn, because that's got me back into gaming again.
Oh, really? Nice. I was not expecting that.
Really?
I wasn't expecting that to be your unicorn for your PS3.
It really is.
I've
got a ton of PlayStation 3 games that I love since then, but I got to put that because that's the game that got me. I mean, it snared me, hook, line, and sinker back. I mean, I returned that, and like 2 weeks later, I had my own PlayStation 3 and my own copy of Uncharted and Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3.
Yeah.
And I had beat them probably 2 weeks after that.
And a lot of people have heard me, especially on a little bit more recent episodes, but I have a lot of beef with the latest Uncharted. It's not my favorite game. I don't think it represents this series appropriately. But that first Uncharted series on the PS3, it was a game changer for me also. It really was.
I think I like Uncharted 3 better than the original Uncharted overall, but I got to go with the original one as my unicorn just because of what it did.
It was your gateway
It
PS3
was.
drug.
It was.
It was.
It was the shot in the arm.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone with that. Like, Uncharted really did pull people also back into a different style of platforming.
Yeah.
Well, like, Naughty Dog has always been good at platforming games. Like,
Yeah.
they nailed it. Like, Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Uncharted bring a more Indiana Jones crossover into that.
Yeah.
And they
And
worked with it really well.
storytelling.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Storytelling.
come on. The
Good
storytelling.
storytelling.
in
Just
it.
the snarky banter that he has.
Oh, yeah, Nathan
So
Drake's
love to hate him, but still love him at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great, yeah. Uncharted is...
You feel for Elena. I'm sorry, you
And-
really do.
Oh, for sure. And again, that's a game you can pick up in a bargain bin for dirt cheap. It's a little dated today if you play it, but I really think if you're going to dive into the Uncharted series, start from the beginning. It's
If you
just
get the-
worth it. You can get the collection.
If you
right?
get the Nathan Drake collection, the weird controls for crossing things and stuff are all gone.
Yeah.
It's all standardized controls across all 3 games. It's the 3 controls is what it is.
Yeah.
And it
So
works great.
they removed something in it? You said...
Okay, so the first one, like when you're crossing like a tree or something.
Did they
you
use
run
motion
across it.
sensitivity?
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's
you
a
had to do it.
gateway
He's like,
PlayStation 3 game, right?
Yeah, no.
Breath of the Wild is suffering from that right now, actually. It's getting
Oh,
a lot
really?
of flack for that. There's 2 puzzles in the game that are just absurdly
Well, see,
obnoxious.
another one that was obnoxious for that was the God of War.
Yes.
God of
I
War
kinda
did that,
started
and I
dabbling in that too.
hated God of War so bad.
Yeah.
When I first time I played it for that, because of that one where you have to walk across all those beams, and you fall down to the lower section, and then you have to get back up and do it again.
Yeah.
I think I probably spent 2 hours there doing that.
When something like that happens in a game, that it's something that's so rudimentary that breaks a game, it always makes me think, did the developers play it? Like, did they play this game? If you would have played it and tried to go across that beam one time with the controller, you would have realized this is a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
Right?
If you were to ask EA Games, they'd just say, no.
No. Yeah, right. No. We hired a bunch of guys, paid them $5 an hour. They said it was fine.
Yeah. If they didn't reach our quota before the end of the week.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you
Grandma's boy? What?
do you have follow-ups?
Yeah. Okay, the rest of the Uncharted series, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
For 3, any of the Gran Turismos followed.
Yeah, dude.
Love Gran Turismo.
I ended Gran Turismo at PS2. I was not a fan of the PS3 stuff.
Okay, the A-Spec
Yeah.
was awesome.
Were you then let down when they released the whole first game? Or the whole entire game? Because the A-Spec was like the glorified tutorial, pretty much, right? Kind of like...
Oh, no.
No.
A-Spec was 2 still, wasn't it?
I can't
Gran
remember.
Turismo 3 A-Spec, I think, was still 2.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was.
That's how lost I am. I kind of...
Yeah, because Gran Turismo 3 and Gran Turismo 4 are both PlayStation 2. You're right.
Yeah.
And then it was Gran Turismo 5, which was also a great game, but you have to have a freaking wheel.
Yeah.
And that was where I started to lose it because I don't have a good setup for a wheel,
Yeah.
and I don't have a good place to set it up either. So
Having a wheel, that's a big deal like for those games.
it is, and like I said, one of my favorite games for PlayStation 4 was the Dirt Rally.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that game, and it took me a while, but I got the controls down for the paddle, but it really needed a wheel.
Yeah.
To really enjoy that game, it really needed the wheel.
Fully submerse you.
Yeah.
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 Immerse.
Should I dive in? It's my PS3 time.
Yeah, do it.
Go ahead.
I
mean, there's a ton of games for PS.
there's so many games for me for the PlayStation 3.
Oh my god, the what was that? That Symphonia. I liked that one. I really enjoyed that one a lot.
Heard
what
good
was
things.
it? Yes. I'm trying to think of because that wasn't the full name.
Legend of Symphonia
Yeah.
Tales.
or Tales of
Tales of
Symphonia.
Symphonia.
That's
Yeah,
what it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is part of the Tales series. But that again, when I think of Tales of Symphonia, that's GameCube,
Yeah, Tales
right?
of Symphonia
That's
is
when I
GameCube.
played it.
I forget what the original ones were. I
Yeah,
know it's
the
on
Tales
PS1.
series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tales of something.
Boy, I was really trying to think of what the very first game I played on my PS3 was, and I was really struggling to think of what that was. Again, you might appreciate this because we're going to run into weird eclectic games again. If I throw one out there that's very Intelligent Cube, which is that weird nerdy puzzle game, except it's vertical as opposed to like into the screen,
Yeah,
I would say Catherine.
Catherine.
I love
Have you ever played
Oh
Catherine?
my god, I never thought you would bring that up. dude.
Catherine to me is so. I just love all the things that how they made a puzzle game have a story and have characters and have that weird banter in the bar in between your dreams where you'd be attacked by the like baby demon thing that would chase you up the ladder and like that was a game where I would play on hardcore mode and dominate levels because I cracked out on that thing. I love that game. That's a hardcore, weird, obscure one for me for sure.
So I've always actually wanted to play Catherine. I had heard about it just, through the PlayStation Network when I would obsessively look up content on there. And Catherine, to me, it felt like the game that would be the gem of the PS3 system. Because people don't talk about Catherine, and I'm only assuming it's a little harder to get than it was when it came out.
I bet it probably is to this day. And like I bet there's some sort of like download version or something that everybody has access to maybe, but
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. But
I think it's great. If you like a puzzle game, it's one of the best reinventings of puzzle and including a story, right? Like a lot of puzzle games don't really have a story that validates being in the game. It's just kind of there as filler. This is like totally part of the game. When you get to each level, you're left with this like important decision to make, and they give you what everybody else made online after you make it. And like it's kind of cool how they created this community and story around a puzzle game. It's totally worth checking out.
So you loaned that to me at the same time you loaned the tank one.
Valkyria Chronicles. That's
Valkyria
another
Chronicles.
one that I have to tell people to play.
Yeah, it was you loaned it at the same time. I definitely played more Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah.
But
Beer's working.
it's amazingly well.
I know I've stumbled with a lot of
That's fine.
Anyway, but like I said, I played that a lot more, and but Catherine, I wasn't until I brought it back and you and I sat down and started playing it together that I really started appreciating Catherine.
Well,
but it was a lot of fun.
It has that same Intelligent Cube quality where each level has like your perfect score, so you should be able to beat it in this many moves. And if you beat it underneath that, you feel so good about yourself.
Yes.
Right? Like to me, that's better than a platinum. It so is. It's like I beat what the game said I should.
So
be
does
able to do
Valkyria
it.
Chronicles.
Yes, and Valkyria, same thing, right? It's something they totally have in common. If you haven't played Valkyria Chronicles or Catherine, I think you should play them. They're different than any other game you've played, and they're really, really great. Something fresh and new, but familiar at the same time. They really are. It's really good.
Yeah, I'd love to play both of those, honestly. And I'm overdue for Catherine, because I have.
It's
been
really, really
interested
good.
in that.
Yeah, totally worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing for
And Beautiful Joe, if you
PS3,
haven't played Beautiful Joe.
yes, Beautiful Joe's worth playing too, because again, it's that awesome throwback, and so
Stylized.
so stylized. Owning
Love
what it
the
is.
stylized
Yeah.
on it.
The other thing I have to say, and I have to mention it, is the Infamous series. I love Infamous 1. It's so good. Infamous 2.
I did not care for 2. I liked 1. I
I love 2. 2 picks up right at the end of 1. I love the Festival of Blood, where you get to become the vampire and you like literally get to turn into like the cloud of bats and fly to another destination.
I never got that far.
It's so good.
I never really got
so
out.
awesome. It's really, really good.
I played the first one. Loved the first one. I didn't get much out of the tutorial on the second one.
I would say Infamous 2, that Festival of Blood DLC, to me is as important and as fun as the what is it? The Red Dead Undead. The bonus that you could get for that, where you turn into now it's Red Dead, but you're zombies.
I've never played.
It's the exact same.
I've never
thing.
played the
It's
Undead Nightmare. I've never done that.
It brings the game to another level and kind of freshens it again. It makes it so good.
Oh my god! So okay, you just brought Red Dead into it.
Oh, now he's rethinking. He might have to knock his unicorn. Red Dead's really good. You can it's locked in that generation.
I know.
Yeah. It's on my list of runner-ups. I think Uncharted series, you mentioned it. It's worth mentioning.
No, I gotta stick with Uncharted, but man, Red Dead Redemption.
I have a couple.
That was one of those games. It was one of those like, this is what video games can be.
To me, it was the
seriously.
first...
No, I'm even seriously. It was. I got on it and just the beauty of the world that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I've said this multiple times on this cast, but I would every sunset that was available to me to do this. You know, if I was in the area, I would run up to the cliff face, and walk the cliff face with the horse. The horse is just this little trumping walk, and pan the camera around as the sun's setting.
Yeah, just to enjoy.
To enjoy that game for that.
I would totally agree with you on that. That game, and that game for me is what like broke that online mold for me. Like I was never a fan of playing online.
I hated
with
the online on that game,
but I actually got into it because I beat the game and there wasn't anything else to offer. And I feel that way about like GTA 5. Like GTA 5 is awesome, and I think the single player is great. It's totally worth playing, but the real meat of that game is in the online. You get so much other stuff, and that's kind of what happens with Red Dead once you beat it.
So my online experience with that game,
was it Spawn Die?
No. So I went into the friendly. I went into the friendly one.
Yeah.
The friendly. What do you call it? Room or whatever. And it was this. It had to have been a 10-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, runs up to me and starts punching me down, and beating me down. I was like, "What the heck?" And so my guy's knocked down and I can't get up. He can't kill me because it's the friendly.
Yeah.
One. But he can knock you down.
But he
keeps
keeps
shooting you
doing it.
down.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so I'm just sitting like, okay. 10 minutes later, he's still doing it.
Yeah. He's
Oh
the
my
Eddie
God.
Gordo of Red Dead.
Yes. I mean,
Hitting
it's like
sweet kick.
Like,
He's
come
the
on,
dick
kid.
move, right? Every game's got a dick move.
I'm just seriously
my
like,
God.
come on, kid, it's nap time. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Did you tell him that? Did you make sure to let him know?
I didn't have a headset at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get on and do that, so I couldn't be like, you little. Yeah. Anyway.
I think.
It's funny. Like,
But the fact that I do got to give the kid props. I mean, he stuck with it for that long.
10 minutes.
He was dedicated to being an asshole.
There's something wrong with that kid.
Yeah, exactly.
The kid needs help.
Yeah,
It might have been me. It just, I was playing it off.
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, I do have to mention one more game because that reminds me of a story with Mod Nation Racers, which if you
need to check out
love.
before you leave here.
Mod Nation
His,
Racing.
his mod nations.
Oh my god! I made so many carts. I made so many people. I bet easily over 100 hours into that game, not even playing the game, but just creating carts and people for it, right? And I just went nuts with it. It's one of my favorite kart racers. Again, you can pick it up for $10 in some sort of cheap bin. It's so worth doing. But that was after Red Dead, and I started to get into the online playing, and I never had a headset for any of this, right? So I was just playing online and trying to pick up gestures. Like when somebody keeps blowing me up, they're clearly a dick. I'll avoid them, right? And so I'm trying to figure these things out. And I remember you could text messages to each other. So I'm playing with this one guy. I Hate You All with an 8 in it was the guy's name. We played all the time whenever we'd meet each other, right? And I remember saying typing out the worst, most awful things to this person, where it'd be like, dude, you went down on that last race, just like I went down on your mom last night. And like all these just like terrible things, right? And it ended up that the duder was like 12 years old. And I didn't know, and I've just like educated him on some of the worst things you should not know at 12 years old. We went through this whole thing. We're still like online friends to this day. It's great. But that was one of my favorite, like learning how
like
to
senpai.
play. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like learning how to play online because it was all new to me too. Right?
Yeah.
But that was like all part of that Mod Nation. So I have such a love for that. But if I bring it all around, and I say my favorite PS3 game, and you can get it on PS4. I have to say is Last of Us. I think
Oh my god, yes.
Last of Us was such a hurrah finale for the PS3. I think graphically, I think gameplay, content-wise, story-wise, like there's so many things about that game that it's like the God of War for me with the PS2. Like it changed the standard for me for every game that came out after it. Like it raised that bar. And if it can't meet what Last of Us did, I have to judge it a little harsher because I've seen what The Last of Us can do.
I still strong, and I just bought it again.
Yeah.
I just bought it again last week.
That game is it's really, really so good. And I think it's a great gateway game for somebody that's not really that hardcore of a game player because the story and the characters and everything that the game all around develops so well from beginning to end in so many different ways. I have to give so much props to The Last of Us.
I don't think there's a better blending of gameplay and storytelling than Last of Us.
I've never
just emotional connection to the character.
Oh yeah, I've never played a game and been and beaten it and been so happy that I played that game, but so angry at how the game ended and with the character in that game for what they chose to do.
So
I was driving the wheel of that terrible.
And the fact that you were so angry that you would have done the same thing had that actually been you.
Oh, totally, right? Like
You hate him for what he did, but
Yeah.
you can't fault him for what he did either.
I love that game so much. I really, really do.
Assuming you have played it, right?
I played a portion of it, but I haven't beaten it.
What?
So, I know.
What?
The
It's
ultimate sin.
it is really worth playing.
That's why I've been so quiet
just
over
to
here. I've been
round
like,
that
I need
story
to-
out.
I
It
need
really
to finish
is.
that one.
Seriously, how far?
Don't read about it. Don't know what happens in the end or throughout.
exactly.
Maybe you already have, but if you haven't,
I don't feel like
Don't do
anything
it.
has been spoiled today.
Yeah,
So,
so don't do
How
it.
far have you gotten?
probably like 30 minutes or more. I know it's shameful.
oh yeah, no, it's
Oh,
fine.
so
you're looking
No,
at
it's
me
fine
like-
because it'll be
So
yeah.
you haven't even met up with the Fireflies yet, then?
With the Fireflies, I don't know, man. Like I
Probably
just
not.
need to
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
this game
The
up.
No, it is
the
worth
token
playing.
black
It
chick
totally
of the game.
is.
You haven't met the token black chick of the game yet?
No.
Because I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's the
she
way
is the Firefly chick.
Yes.
Yeah. It really is so
Have
worth
you
it.
picked up Ellie yet?
Ellie, I think so. I don't know.
Do you have the little girl tagging along with you yet?
It's been like a year.
So the answer is no.
He doesn't
Yeah.
know. He doesn't remember.
I don't remember.
It's fine. We won't shame you.
Yes, we
I'm
will.
actually a little jealous because I wish I could play it again for the first
Yeah,
time.
Yeah,
now
I
you
really
guys
do.
get to witness me living this.
Yeah.
All this pain and suffering and like wonder that The Last of Us can bring.
Yeah.
It is. It totally is.
I feel like it's one of those games that's been hyped so much.
I'm
right?
the
And
last
so many
one to
people-
play The Last
Yeah,
of
you are
Us.
the last of us. Yeah.
I'm the last of them.
It really is so worth it. And like I said, you can get it on PS4. A lot of people got it as a free download when and so many of those people that I knew, they knew I was into games, and so they finally got a PS4 so we could play games together. And they had that as a free download, and they hadn't even put the code in yet to get the game. And I remember telling them, it's like, yeah, and they wouldn't do it because it was a PS3 game. And I was like, but it's still, to me, that game still holds a standard to today for what storytelling and what an art piece a game can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really does. That game it's so good. I can't say enough good things about Uncharted. I can't.
Last of
yeah,
Us.
Last of Us. Yeah,
A lot of good games we talked about today.
yeah, right.
I still got to stay with Uncharted just for what it did for me for gaming. But
Yeah, and I think I had the same kind of similar thing. It was just at the end of the life cycle. I love that yours is at the beginning of the life cycle of the PS3, and I rounded out the end with the same. It's that same feeling though,
Yeah.
of just like this is what a game can be. It really is. And they did it so well. I know you've probably heard it from a million different people, but trust me, it's true, and you can thank me later.
I've actually gotten 2 people who are not even gamers. I mean, one of them's 55 years old and is actually a preacher.
Yeah.
To sit down and watch the YouTube cuts.
To just get the story.
Just to get the story.
Yeah. No, it's really, really good. I recommend it to
That's
everybody.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Of watching. And he did it, and he was telling me how great he thought that story was.
Yeah. Super good.
Yeah.
And there's lots of others too.
I mean, he thought some of it was dirty, and he didn't think it was that healthy, but...
Oh, no, it's not at all. And you hate yourself at the end of the game because, like you said, you agree, but you hate what happens at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh.
It's so worth it. It really is. Take the ride.
Yeah, I think PS3 era of games has been a defining moment in dramatics in games. Like, people paying more attention to the story. Not just back in the day we would pay attention to RPG stories, and we'd be the few guys that would be like, oh, this game has a fantastic story. You need to play it for the story. And people, that couldn't hold the attention span for those games would be like, oh, whatever.
And see, that's the thing is,
PS3 changed that, I feel like.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I loved the story, and I loved gameplay for that. And that's really what kept me gaming, was the PlayStation 1. And PlayStation 2, I felt lost that when I got into it. Which is why I didn't buy a lot of PlayStation 2 titles. And I didn't, obviously, people like you who were really into what was going on at the time. So I was stuck with what was getting thrown at me through media.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for what was coming out. So I kept playing my PlayStation 1 games that I absolutely loved. And I got a couple other PlayStation 2 games. I got EverQuest and stuff like that, which was fun. I liked EverQuest. It kind of got weird and glitched for later, but whatever.
Yeah.
But stuff like that. But PlayStation 3 was the first one, like I said, first one to bring story and stuff back into it. And
it was much more immersive.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree with you. I think it was that transcending system that really made games appeal to somebody beyond that core audience.
Yeah,
I really think it's also part of that era where I think towards the end of that PlayStation 3 life cycle is really kind of where being a nerd kind of became more socially acceptable. Like where you started to appeal to the masses in your games a little more, and you started to lure in and bait the hook with things that's going to start catching these people that weren't necessarily these hardcore fans.
Yeah, you could talk more openly about things like that, and people wouldn't judge you for it.
You totally
geek out about people geek out about Skyrim now all the time. They love that game. People love The Last of Us, and then there's that's just scraping the surface for what's come out lately.
Oh, for sure.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but since PlayStation 3, up until Horizon, I really don't think we've had a game that's really done anything on PlayStation 4 to really draw us like the PlayStation 3 stuff has.
I would agree. I think that this year in particular is really the heyday of PlayStation 4. I really feel like we're just now starting to taste what it can really put out, and we're just starting to get that from it.
People are testing the waters.
Yeah, and again, it's it's a weird. I think
it's been out for how many years now?
We're on year 4?
Yeah, 4
years.
Now?
4 for
yeah,
PlayStation
I think
4.
4 years on PlayStation 4. We're just now getting
it's halfway.
Stuff that's...
It's probably more than halfway through its life cycle already. And in classic video game form, I bet the best games we're going to get will be in those last 2 years, and then it will transition to into a new system, and the system will learn with us all over again, right?
Yep. That you'll get that. Oh wait! We still got these.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
And it's
that's how Persona 4 came out on PS2. People liked that. That was a really, really light one. And, late dot hack, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Lots of things just started coming out because it was cheaper.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that I just think it all rolls into how much we've had a whole episode on it, but how nerd culture is so much more accepted, and it's a marketable avenue to go down. And so
it's because it's an appreciable art form now.
It is. It has moved in. It has transcended into an actual art form now, and it's ways to appreciate it beyond just popping quarters in a machine. Right?
It's also protected too.
Yeah,
legally, you can produce whatever video game you want.
Yeah,
basically, and I think that's great.
I completely agree with you. I love video games as an art form because they totally can be, and they should be. And I kind of say a little bit of a shame on you for all the games that come out, because there's a lot of them that come out and they just reskin a game that's already been out there. But when you make a game that breaks the mold a little bit, and it might not even be the best game you've ever played or the best game for that system, but when it does something new and something that's fresh, for me, I take note of it, and I immediately do, and I will probably buy that and put it on my shelf. It goes in my little weird eclectic video game collection, right? It gets put next to Catherine and Intelligent Cube and Mod Nation, right? I have all such these, and 3D Dot Heroes. Like, these are all such weird games that if you didn't grow up in the industry, or as absorbing that, you're not going to appreciate it the way it is today. And I love that there's still those games that come out that are that way and that test the boundaries. Some of them flop, and I still applaud them for trying to do it, but those ones that manage to appeal to those classic qualities and still come up with something fresh and new, I love it all the time.
Well, we're getting that with PlayStation 4 more from the independent side.
Yeah,
the independent developers, Axiom Verge does that.
Yeah.
It totally accesses the old classic style of gameplay, but new storyline for it and all that
and
stuff.
And talk about a art piece. That's all one dude.
Yeah.
Made that whole entire game. One guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And what else we got? We got, the two that I play like crazy from our...
Rebel Galaxy
and freaking Race the Sun.
Yeah, Race the Sun's that's a quarter popper, man. For
exactly.
Sure. That is right to that old strict formula. And they were all games we got for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a PS Plus, please, and play the games.
Yeah, it's not free. It costs you $50.
That's true. $50 a year, but it's worth it. Well worth it. So let's round it up one more time with our unicorns. Mac?
So our unicorns.
PS3.
PS3.
Should we do them all? Let's do a rundown to just refresh everybody. Go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it was hard for me to pick. 3D Dot Game Heroes was my unicorn
for number
PS3.
3.
Yeah. Then working down from there was Skate 2, Demon's Souls, and Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Nice. Those are all PS3.
Yeah.
Okay, I meant your PS2 and PS1, but that's fine.
Oh, okay.
You're just kicking in, right? Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's
so
all
3D.
I was just like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Okay,
In
so
the
yeah.
zone.
PS3, 3D Dot Game Heroes, PS2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and PS1 was Mega Man Legends.
Love it.
Nice.
We're such best friends. And Jeremiah?
I'm going to go with Uncharted for 3, and Silent Line for 2. And 1 was, I'm going to go with Gran Turismo 2.
Nice. And I'm going to go with, what did I say for my PS3? I already forgot. Is that terrible? Because I really forget. Last of Us.
I got my phone out.
Last of Us. Right, they were doing the same thing here. The Last of Us, PS3.
I almost chose that one, but I didn't.
I know. We talked about it a little bit. I know we both love it. God of War for PS2. I really like those both for the same reason. And really, even the first one for PS1, Metal Gear Solid. I love them all for the same reason. They were fresh and new to me at the time. I loved them. So those are our top 3s for all systems. They're our personal unicorns. Please don't send me a bunch of hate emails because you think yours is better. I agree with you. It's probably awesome. And we drank a bunch of beer. And I think it's probably time that we get something to eat. Because I think we've
definitely
well deserved it. And there's many more games to play. Someday we will announce our PlayStation 4 unicorns.
Someday.
Probably
about the time we're playing on PlayStation 5.
Probably.
And or PlayStation Neural.
Yeah, whatever.
Neural embedded.
Yeah.
PlayStation Neuro.
Let's
Neural.
Let's do it one last time. I'd like to thank you, Mac, personally, on behalf of Nerdbuzzed. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, and thank you for the last slice of pizza.
Yeah. Let's bang
that's right. No, I was like,
empty glasses.
Yeah,
all right.
Let's bang our empty glasses and cheers one more time. To all the nerds, through all the fuzz, bottoms up, let's get Nerdbuzzed.
Talking about beer.
Right?
Gotta get that dropper.
Air drink.
You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.